Hello, everybody. I'm Kristen Hostetter. Welcome to another episode of Straight Talk on Outside Business Journal. I'm really excited for my guest today. It's Todd Spaletto, who is a familiar figure in the outdoor industry. Hi, Todd. How are you? Good to see you.
Hey, Kristen. How's it going? Great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I want to give everyone just a quick recap. Todd has had an illustrious career in the outdoor industry. Early on, he worked at High Sierra and JanSport before landing a job as director of sales for the North Face. From there, he worked his way up to global president. After 14 years at the North Face, he moved from California to Michigan to head up Wolverine Worldwide. He left that post last June in 2020, and last fall, Dick's Sporting Goods announced that Todd would be heading up its new specialty outdoor retail concept, Public Lands. Now, details about Public Lands have been kind of scarce up until now, so I am super excited to welcome Todd to the show and to learn more about Public Lands.
Hey, thanks, Kristen. It's great to be here.
So let's get right into it. Why don't you start off by telling us what is the mission of Public Lands as a retail shop, and what does that mean to Dick's?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. So our purpose, what we state for Public Lands is that we want to celebrate and protect public lands for all. And so if I just hit on a few of the key words in there, when we say celebrate, certainly there's the physical activities that we often reference in the outdoor industry, but part of celebrating is time spent with our friends in the outdoors, and sometimes it's the pre or post activity that we remember most. And so we want to celebrate all aspects of that outdoor experience. From protecting public lands in the purpose statement, 1/3 of the land in the United States are public lands. It's a significant part of our United States landscape. And we believe that there's a responsibility to protect these beautiful places, whether it's your state parks, your Bureau of Land Management, your National Parks and Forest Service. These are all areas that define our public lands. And at the end of that, celebrate and protect public lands for all. We very purposely have that for all because we believe that while 1/3 of our land is public lands, we've got over 75% of Americans that are not accessing it. So there is a really big push around inclusivity and encouraging participation for these wonderful places.
I think so much of our audience agrees with everything you just said. I think what's still kind of a mystery is how do you do that in a retail store, right? We're talking about you're going to be launching 2 Public Lands physical stores. And so walk us through what that looks like. How do you do those big things that you just talked about in a retail environment?
Yeah, I think the opportunity is to leverage your retail store as really the hub for the community. We believe strongly that the future of retail is experiential. And I think one of the distinct roles and advantages that a retail store has within a community is to serve as the hub for that celebrating and protecting. So to give you a little bit more insight on these stores, first off, they're 50,000 square feet. So they're good sized stores. And that's very intentional. Inside these stores are specialty shops that are dedicated to each of the key activities that we think represent both a commercial opportunity and are tied to both the participation and conservation effort. So that's a run shop, that's a ski shop, that's a climb shop, that's a camp hike shop, that's a paddle shop. So these specialty shops will be a really key component to that. In addition to that, there's some unique services that we plan to offer. We'll have a really immersive climbing wall that'll be part of these stores. And that's something that we think is certainly an opportunity for us to introduce people to climbing, but it's also a way for us to partner with local climbing gyms and hopefully connect people to not just an experience in our store, but to a new way of life at some of the local small businesses that have climbing gyms. We're going to have a rental and repair center. We recognize that one of the most sustainable things we could do is to lengthen the life cycle of the gear that people own. We also understand that if we want to invite new people to our activities, that sometimes it's a pretty significant cost of entry, and rentals might present one of the best opportunities for people to have a positive first experience.
For sure, yeah. Can you give us a sense of what brands we're going to see in there, and is it going to be entry-level price point type products? Are you going for the high-end, bigger ticket items? Where do you fit in terms of that?
Sure. From a pricing standpoint, I would tell you that for starters, over 80% of the assortment is unique and different from what you'd find in a Dick's Sporting Goods. So it truly is a new outdoor specialty concept. From a price range, the average unit retail will also be obviously higher than what you'd find in a Dick's Sporting Goods. And we're going to balance sort of having sort of the best technical new gear for a active enthusiast, but we do want to have some price representation for people that are new to the sport. So that will still be at a specialty level, but we want to make sure that there's an accessible component to the offering. In terms of brands that we'll have, I kind of think of it through three different lenses. There's going to be big brands that you would expect in an outdoor specialty store, like a North Face or a Patagonia. And we're working to create a really unique destination for these brands that includes a strong, comprehensive representation and some unique products that maybe are a little less distributed from a distribution standpoint. We're going to have some of the smaller specialty brands, and that could be anything from Nemo to Snow Peak to Ultra to a whole host of Cotopaxi, a whole host of outdoor specialty brands that are really, we believe, up and coming and doing good in addition to making great products. And then last, I would say, and I think this is going to be one of the more fun components of our store, is we're putting a really big emphasis on being hyper local and having sort of these small business spotlights. So, think of that as a local artist in one of the communities of our stores that works with us to do graphic art for logo wear, or honey and granola or coffee that is locally sourced from a small business. So that idea of being a hub, of being a local destination, we think having this small business and local embedding, whether that's tying people to a climbing experience to a local climbing gym, or highlighting some people that are doing some really cool stuff in food and beverage and art, we think that that's a great way to differentiate the store and create a reason to come back and visit frequently.
Clearly, you were not hired to run 2 brick and mortar locations, right? So let's talk about what the future might hold for Public Lands. If these 2 launches go well, are you looking to convert? Because I think there's 35 other Field and Stream stores. Will you be looking to convert those into this concept?
I would say, first and foremost, we recognize the uniqueness of the vision we have for this concept in the care that it's going to require to bring it to life right. Whether that's the staff we hire, the way we represent brands. I always talk about educate, outfit, and advocate. And that's going to be a really big focus for us. So, we are taking a launch and learn mentality with these first 2 stores, and there's going to be 100% focus on launching, understanding, and perfecting these 2 stores. To your point, absolutely. When we see these stores do well, we have aspirations for this to be more than 2 stores, but it's not a Field and Stream specific play. It's more of what we've garnered through our consumer insights and our research around what we think is white space in the outdoor industry.
You mentioned the white space that exists, and I'm wondering, was this concept kind of like an intentional play to replace the revenue stream that Dick's surely must have lost when you moved away from firearms and ammo? Because that was a big, bold move. And I imagine represented a good chunk of Dick's revenue. Was this sort of a way to fill that white space as well, in a way that was more aligned with the values?
I wouldn't say that it was created to substitute the absence of something else. I would say it similarly was born from values and purpose, and in this case, the importance of conservation.
Gotcha. What's the e-commerce plan for Public Lands?
I think e-commerce is going to absolutely be part of any successful omni-channel store. And I think Dick's Sporting Goods proved that during the pandemic, whether it was buy online, pick up in store, or curbside pickup. So we think our site's going to be a critical component of that. We will have a site. It'll be a blend between content and commerce. And we're really excited about having that be not only an e-commerce opportunity, but even more importantly, a critical component to an omni-channel business.
Gotcha. Let's see. In several recent shareholders calls, Ed Stack said that Public Lands will be different from REI. How so? Is Public Lands consumer different from the REI consumer? Can you define your target customer a little bit more and maybe kind of talk about how you intend to be different?
Yeah, I mean, we respect REI as a retailer, and I think from our perspective, none of this strategy is a strategy formulated about different than REI or any other outdoor specialty retailer. Really, the strategy is formed around consumer insights. And it's exactly what I shared with you earlier. We developed the strategy, and the uniqueness that Ed references is we just believe that there's a lot of people coming to the outdoors. I mean, the OIA released a report a couple months ago about we're seeing younger, more diverse people gravitate to the outdoors, increase participation, closer to home, more accessible activities. They care about how they look. And so our strategy is not a strategy that's structured to be something other than a competitor. It's structured based on what we see our consumer asking for.
So Todd, from a participation standpoint, I'd love to hear what's in store for public lands, because Dick's has done so many amazing things within communities all over the United States in terms of getting underprivileged youth, particularly involved in sports. What does that look like for public lands? Do you have any plans along those lines as well in terms of outdoor sports?
Yeah, absolutely. Participation is going to be a really important part of what we do. And I think for as big as Dick's Sporting Goods is, the secret to the success that we've had on that side of the business has been that it happens at a local level. It's the local organizations, the local teams, schools, and communities. And that's the same approach that we're taking with public lands. We're partnering with local organizations around events, around activities, around key issues. We're partnering with local organizations in Columbus and Pittsburgh. In addition to that, and we referenced that OIA study a little bit earlier in the conversation, but we think access, equity, inclusion is going to be a really important part of this. So whether that's reaching into communities that have a tougher time accessing the outdoors, or working with some of our top partners to create specific programming to encourage people of all backgrounds, preferences, and socioeconomic lifestyles to be able to participate in the outdoors and develop a new love that we've been able to enjoy.
Sounds great. So tell me about the 2 grand openings. When are they? Where are they?
Yeah, sure. So we've got 2 stores opening. So the end of September is going to be our first grand opening in Pittsburgh around the end of September, around September 24th. September 25th happens to be National Public Lands Day. So great timing there. And then about a month later, we'll open up our second store in Columbus, Ohio. And we certainly hope that you can make the trip. We'd love to have you out there, Kristen. It should be really fun.
Oh my gosh, I'd love to. I'll be there. Great. Well, thank you so much for giving us a sneak peek into public lands, Todd. It was great catching up with you.
Great to see you, Kristen.
And thank you, everybody, for watching this episode of Straight Talk. We've got lots more conversations like this, so check us out at outsidebusinessjournal.com.